I used to work the late shift at a 24-hour diner on the edge of town, the kind of place where the neon sign flickers and the coffee tastes like burnt hope. My apartment was a 40-minute walk away, so I always caught the last bus home. The route was called the 13, which felt like a joke, but it was the only way to avoid stumbling through the dark suburbs alone. One night, after a particularly rough shift, I missed the bus by a minute. I watched its taillights vanish into the mist, cursing under my breath. The next bus wasn't due for another hour, but as I sat on the cold metal bench, a different bus pulled up. It was old, the paint faded and the windows fogged. The number on the front was missing, just a blank, glowing rectangle. The doors hissed open, and the driver, a gaunt man with sunken eyes, nodded at me. I hesitated, but the thought of waiting in the cold was worse. I climbed aboard, dropping my coins into the slot. The driver didn't say a word, just stared straight ahead. The bus was empty except for a woman in the back, her face hidden by a wide-brimmed hat. I took a seat near the middle, trying not to look at her. The bus lurched forward, moving slower than usual. The city outside looked different, the streetlights flickering in odd patterns, the buildings unfamiliar. I pressed my face to the window, but the glass was so foggy I could barely see. The driver never stopped for any other passengers, even though I saw people waiting at the usual stops. They didn't seem to notice the bus at all. After a while, I realized we weren't following the normal route. The streets grew narrower, the houses older. I tried to pull up the route on my phone, but there was no signal. The battery icon flickered, then died, even though I'd charged it at work. I glanced at the woman in the back. She hadn't moved, but I could feel her watching me. I stood up and walked to the driver, gripping the metal pole for balance. "Excuse me, I think I got on the wrong bus. Can you let me off at the next stop?" He didn't answer. His hands were white-knuckled on the wheel, eyes fixed on the road. I looked at the dashboard. The speedometer needle was stuck at 0, even though we were moving. The clock was spinning backward. I backed away, heart pounding. The woman in the back finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "You shouldn't have gotten on." I turned to her, trying to keep my voice steady. "What is this? Where are we going?" She lifted her head, and I saw her face for the first time. Her eyes were completely black, no whites at all, and her skin looked stretched too tight over her bones. "You can't get off until it's over," she said. I stumbled back to my seat, gripping the edge so hard my knuckles ached. The bus kept driving, the city outside growing stranger. The buildings twisted at impossible angles, the sky a sickly green. Shadows moved along the sidewalks, but there were no people, just shapes that flickered and vanished when I tried to focus on them. I tried the emergency exit, but the handle wouldn't budge. I pounded on the windows, but the glass felt like stone. The driver never looked back, never blinked. The woman in the back started humming, a low, tuneless sound that made my teeth ache. Time lost all meaning. I don't know how long we drove. My eyelids grew heavy, but every time I started to drift off, the bus would hit a bump and jolt me awake. The humming grew louder, filling the bus, vibrating in my bones. Finally, the bus stopped. The doors hissed open, and the driver turned to look at me. His eyes were empty sockets, black as the woman's. "End of the line," he rasped. I stumbled off the bus, nearly falling onto the cracked pavement. The street was empty, the buildings crumbling. The sky was a flat, gray void. I turned to look at the bus, but it was already gone. vanished into the mist. I wandered the streets, calling for help, but there was no one. Every door I tried was locked, every window dark. The only sound was the echo of the woman's humming, drifting through the empty air. Eventually, I found a diner, just like the one where I worked. The neon sign flickered, the windows fogged. I stepped inside, hoping for warmth, for company, for anything familiar. The booths were empty, the counter clean. A coffee pot sat on the burner, steam rising from its spout. I sat down, and the woman from the bus slid into the booth across from me. She smiled, her black eyes shining. "You're home now," she said. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The humming filled my head, drowning out everything else. I realized then that I would never leave. The bus had brought me here, to this place outside of time, and I was never going back.